Hello, hello. Welcome to your little at-home ceremony. My name is Alexa. I'm going to be leading a little at-home cacao ceremony for you today so that you can take this at your own pace, in your own time, enjoy it, relax. This is a good time. So for today, I am sharing some music in case you can hear it. I am not a tech whiz. I will preface this entire ceremony by saying I am not a fucking tech whiz. So I'm going to do my best today, but because the nature of this is so that you can do it at home, we're all trying some new things here. So the first thing is first, if you do not already have a beautiful cup of cacao prepared and ready, I'm going to give you a few minutes to just go ahead and grab that, finish making it if you are still making it. If you do not have your cacao already prepared, go ahead and pause this video so that you can have that nice and ready. For those of you who have Keys cacao, which is what I personally recommend, you should have gotten a brick. It looks something like this. My recommendation is to chop the whole thing up, put it in a jar. It should fill up about a whole one of these jars before you use it. And then every time you're going to enjoy your cacao, just take a couple of scoops, put it into some warm water. You can add milk. I recommend non-dairy milk with no additives or fillers. You can add honey, you can add spices, whatever you want to make your cacao feel a little more homey, a little more lively, a little more fun for yourself. Go ahead and experiment. So like I said, if you haven't already done that, please go ahead and get that started. Pause this video. When you're ready, come back and join me. For those of you who already have your cacao ready, or now that your cacao is ready, we are going to open today's little at-home ceremony by setting an intention. This is just going to be a moment of quiet for you to decide what your intention is with this ceremony. The theme of today's ceremony is getting out of your own way, starting to create movement, starting to create momentum, especially when life may feel challenging or if you're in the midst of change, whether this is a chosen change or a forced change. It can be really, really difficult sometimes to move into change powerfully unless you give yourself the opportunity to take a pause, maybe have a little cacao, figure out the areas in which you might be blocking yourself, and proactively work through those and start taking action on them. So that is going to be the theme of today's work, the theme of today's ceremony. I do recommend, if you do not have one handy, you grab a journal and a pen, have something nearby, or your phone, something that you can take notes on. If you are more into audio dictation or speaking into your phone, that's totally fine too. Just make sure you have something nearby where you can take some kind of notes. So I am going to first start out, as noted, by giving us a little moment for an intention. After we have our intention, I'm going to talk a little about the flow of today's ceremony. So to start out, please go ahead, take your beautiful cup of cacao. If you want to, you can close your eyes. If you do not want to do that, that's fine. If you are driving, I highly recommend doing this at some point when you are not driving, but if you are driving, don't close your eyes. Just take a minute to breathe, settle in, and get centered with yourself. I am going to turn the music up a little bit so we can have something enjoyable to listen to. Just take a minute here. Deep breath in through your nose. And exhale. Let go of anything that's holding you, anything you're holding on to, any to-dos. They will be there when we are done with the ceremony for you to do. Take a minute to settle and be present. The most powerful work you're going to do is not going to come from a rushed and hurried state. It's going to come from a state of being grounded. So please ground yourself now. Any intentions that you have for this time, for this ceremony, for this day, go ahead and set that now. If you're a visual person, you can think about visualizing what this might look like, this intention. You can visualize that single intention flooding from your heart into your cup of cacao. So imagine that intention is in your hands now as you hold this cup of cacao. Another deep breath in, center yourself. And exhale, nice long exhale. Let it all go. And if you want to dance, that's fine. I will probably be dancing today. And when you are ready, take another deep breath in and exhale. And whenever you feel ready, you're welcome to take your first sip of cacao. All right. So just so you guys know how I run ceremonies, my personal philosophy is that there's no right or wrong way to enjoy your cacao. Keith, the man who I learned about cacao from, the chocolate shaman, the man, the myth, the legend himself, when I went to his ceremony, he clocked the whole thing back in 10 seconds. So if that tickles your fancy, that suits your style, you do not have to spend the entire time of this ceremony drinking this cacao at a slow glacial rate. You can chug the whole thing back if that feels good to you. If that does not feel good to you, you're gonna take it at your own pace. Outside of that first sip that I like to kind of open the space together, this is now your deal. This is your experience. This is however you want to do it. Trust your body, trust your own flow. I will be drinking periodically because I'm going to be talking a little bit. I might drink mine a little bit slower, but it's up to you however fast or slow you want to consume your cacao. I'm going to pause this music while we're chitty-chatting for a minute here, and then we'll bring it back later because we have some journal prompts and the music makes it fun. So now that you have your intention, I'm gonna take a little bit of a minute here to explain to you what you can expect from the cacao, especially if this is your first time drinking it, what you might expect from your body, your mind, the experience that you can look forward to having in the next couple hours and even the next couple of days. After that, I'm going to talk a little bit about unblocking yourself, talking about some things that might stand in your own way. And at the very end, we're gonna do a little journal session together, and it'll be joyful and fun. So with cacao, some things to know. Cacao is a very beautiful medicine. In my experience, from a physiological perspective, cacao is phenomenal at getting juices flowing. It does help with getting some movement, especially if you have creativity or you're the kind of person who likes to move, you like to dance, maybe you like to exercise. That movement process is going to be very beautifully supported and facilitated by Sweet Mama Cacao. It does have a small trace amount of caffeine, but not a crazy amount. So it will give you a subtle energy boost. However, cacao is most well known for its high content of theobromine, which is a cardiovascular stimulant. Theobromine is the thing that makes dogs and cats and birds sick, so do not feed it to your animals, please, because they will not do very well with it, and oftentimes it'll make them have little heart attacks. So don't share chocolate with your dogs. It's why they're not supposed to drink it, is because of theobromine. But for humans, it is very healthy and has a lot of benefits. My experience of the theobromine physiologically is that I find that it gives me stable energy. I'm very sensitive to caffeine. The small amount of caffeine that's in cacao plus the theobromine, to me, gives me a nice energy boost, but I don't get the spike and the crash that I often get from things like coffee and even tea. I am that sensitive. Tea even drives me nuts sometimes. So you will probably notice a gentle boost in energy. If you are doing this in the evening, fear not. There are a lot of properties that also help to relax your body. So generally speaking, I have done cacao ceremonies at night and been totally fine and been able to sleep. If you notice that you're a little bit more energized and a little bit more flowy than usual, though, that's probably where it's coming from. Now, from the calming side and the calming perspective, cacao is very high in magnesium, so it does produce that body relaxation effect. A lot of people will notice that as they drink it, yes, they get a little bit more energy, they get a little bit more of that boost, but because of the magnesium and the other properties, it also helps them to relax into their body. So it's not this jittery kind of, I gotta get stuff done sort of an energy. It's a very sustainable and pleasant energy boost. And because it helps you to relax your body, you will also find that you can relax into your emotions, you can relax into your flow. Whatever it is that you are working on or working through in a given day, it's really, really helpful for facilitating those processes. Outside of that, cacao is very high in what's known as PEA and anandamide, which are also known as the love and the bliss chemicals. These are chemicals that we naturally produce in our own brain. However, when we are exposed to more of them, they produce effects in our brain that feel like, I equate it to a mother's warm hug. They're very gentle, they're very uplifting. They help to bring a softness and a warmth that again feels a lot like a mother's hug. So if you are going through a lot of challenges, you are going through maybe some tough emotional things, maybe you're navigating a lot, it can really help you to ease into that emotional process. I have found that cacao, if I need to cry, will help me cry. If I need to move, it'll help me move. If I need to be still, it'll help me be still. So the medicine that you need, you will find that sometimes when you drink it, you're going to react in different ways. Some days you may feel blissful and joyful and like everything is beautiful and you want to hug everything. And other days you might find, wow, I'm really able to go into some deep shit that I normally don't go into. And the cacao will help facilitate that process. The beautiful thing about cacao, unlike a lot of other plant medicines, is that she is very gentle. My other favorite phrase about cacao is that she will take you to the door and you will decide whether or not you want to walk through. Some plant medicines, like ayahuasca, they will push you through that door no matter what you do. You do not have a choice once you have taken the substance. With cacao, it's a lot more gentle. She'll provide you guidance, a little push, a little encouragement, the possibility to see things from a slightly different perspective, but it's never going to be this overwhelming, I can't function, I can't get through my day-to-day life. It is a psychoactive, but it is not a psychedelic, so it doesn't impair your cognitive functioning. You can drink it and drive, you can go about your daily life. You may find, though, because of the properties that it has, your vantage point and your perspective on things might shift just 1 or 2%, but that 1 or 2% is enough to help you start moving through things and clearing out muck and getting past any blockages that you might have, which is why I think cacao is a phenomenal ally in this kind of work. I'm going to take a breather and take a sip. Feel free to join me. Alrighty. So, also, if you haven't already learned this about cacao, sometimes it can separate a little bit. So, I recommend having a spoon or a whisk or something in case you need to stir it. And I might have to get up to let my cat in because she's looking at me through the door like a crazy head. Do you want to come in? Okay, we'll see. Right. So, cacao has a lot of really beautiful benefits. Super helpful for this type of work, especially when we're navigating change, when there's a lot of heavy emotions, a lot of big emotions, a lot of, oh my God, what do I do? The presence of cacao in your life can be very grounding. It's a phenomenal ritual, and I'm a big believer in rituals or having moments that you repeatedly return to an action to help reground yourself, resteady yourself, especially because there are, in my opinion, only two constants in life, love and change. And change is a constant that can be really, really hard to manage sometimes. So when everything is changing all over the place, it can be really helpful to have this moment with yourself to just recenter, have a cup of cacao, sit, breathe. Even if you only have 5 minutes, I have found that it's made a huge difference for me. Are you gonna do it? She's opening the door by herself. Can you do it? All right, I need to help her and I'll be right back. Look, I have a pillow though. It says reserved for the cat. Come on in, sweet girl. Come on in. You're gonna come in and join us? Okay. Do you want to say hi? All right, you guys are lucky. You get to meet her. This is Bubba. She does not like to be held, but we love her. All righty. She's gonna run around. Oh, okay. Now that I have talked about cacao, some things to expect, a lot of people, you may notice the cacao starting to hit in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Some people, it takes up to 40 minutes for them to really notice the effects. So just know everything that I mentioned, you might start noticing, wow, I feel a little more relaxed. I feel a little more calm. I feel a little bit more creative. This will likely be sustained throughout the rest of the day. And I have some people, and in my own experience as well, the days following a cacao ceremony, you may also have some time for integration. So if you are having new ideas, new thoughts, maybe some interesting dreams, make sure that you create space in your world to properly integrate whatever it is that happens in this session today. It may be small on the outside, big on the inside. It may be small on the outside, small on the outside. It may be big on the outside, big on the inside. Whatever your experience is of this chunk of time here now and in the following days, I would just encourage you to make sure that you do your best to hold space for yourself and support yourself. And if a lot of shit comes up and you're like, holy heckazoids, I need a little support, feel free to reach out to me. I will have my information on the slides and I will go over that at the end. And there will be description below as well. So you can utilize any of those things to reach out if you need some extra support. Alrighty. Now we're going to start doing the tech whiz thing, which is going to be really fun for all of us. We're in this together. We're all in this together. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully, if we're lucky. Alrighty. So you guys should see Cacao with Alexa get out of your own way. The first thing that I want to talk about, we're moving into the educational component. So if you want to take notes, feel free to take notes. Totally fine. The first thing that I want to talk about is reasons why some of us might get in our own ways, why some of us may feel stuck, may feel stagnant, may be resistant to change, whether it's resistant to going with the flow with change or resistant to taking action to create change. There are a lot of things that can get in the way. I will say that whatever came up in your mind just now, before I even show the reasons that I thought of, that is likely something that you could dive into. So if you know what that is already, you want to take a note of it, go ahead and jot that down. But some popular reasons or common reasons why we might get in our own way. The first is prioritizing comfort and or avoiding discomfort. We as humans like to be comfortable. We like to be safe. There's nothing wrong with being safe. We need that. It is a biological need. However, sometimes that can get in the way of our own growth. I posted a video yesterday, and it's something that I'm probably going to be talking about a lot more, which is distinguishing the difference between anxiety and intuition. And this is something that I've had a bit of a steep learning curve with in the last few years because I operated out of a survival mode in certain arenas of my life. And I got so used to that. Anything that my mind told me, I would take as gospel. And I would say, oh my God, it's my intuition. I have to listen to it. Because, everyone says, go with your gut, listen to your intuition. And I do think that there's a lot of value in listening to your intuition. However, I also think there's a lot of value in having good discernment and knowing that if your intuition feels like anxiety, or if it only comes up when you're in an anxious state and it never comes up when you're in your peace, it's probably anxiety and it's probably not your intuition. And the purpose of your intuition in short-term scenarios, when you're out and you meet someone and something feels off and you suddenly are like, this is not a good situation, the purpose of your intuition is to keep you safe. And in micro situations, this is so important. We need this. Highly, highly, highly recommend that you listen to that. If you meet someone and you were like, there is a hardcore no on this, I don't know what it is, I can't explain it, but no, I would advise that you listen to that. Especially if you're in a state of peace before it just comes up. However, a lot of the times, especially if you are the type of person who is a go with your gut person, you may find yourself choosing not to do certain things or not to follow through with certain things because your anxiety is speaking up to you. And your anxiety can look a lot like your intuition if you don't take that time to distinguish between them. So, because your intuition's job is to keep you safe, sometimes your intuition is going to prioritize your comfort or your sense of safety. And it is not necessarily going to prioritize your sense of growth, which is why setting intentions really matters. I think that when you set a strong intention, your intuition will start to pivot to match that a little bit more. But if your intention is like, I need to be safe, I just need to be okay, your intuition's going to guide you right along that line. So just something to keep in mind about the energetic that you bring to your world and to your life. Another thing, or another reason that a lot of us will get in our own way, choose not to take action when we could, is we are avoiding fear. The emotion of fear in and of itself is so uncomfortable and so terrifying. And no one really wants to be afraid. Being afraid is hard. If you're a Harry Potter nerd, he feared the Dementors. And one of the quotes that was said was that the thing he fears most is fear itself. That's very wise, and I agree. I think that is very wise. But if you are in a state where you're constantly avoiding things that bring a sense of fear, you might again be blocking yourself. Expectations, whether it's self-imposed or expectations of other people, can also cloud our judgment and cloud our ability to take action in alignment. So if you are the type of person that you have an expectation of others or an expectation of yourself, and you have to stick to that expectation, and those expectations maybe are perfectionistic, sometimes you may not take the action that is needed to actually get the job done. A quote that I've really loved lately is getting something done is more important than getting it done perfectly. So if you're focused constantly on perfectionism, I would encourage you to try out a week of focusing on just getting things done, regardless of if it's perfect or not. Another reason we get in our way is uncertainty. We don't know what the right answer is, quote unquote. We don't know what we want. We don't know where we are going. We don't know what's going to be the outcome. Uncertainty can be debilitating. And when we feel this debilitation, sometimes we do the fight, flight, fawn, freeze response. We will go into that freeze and just not do anything. Lack of clarity, similar to uncertainty. If you don't know what the action steps are that you want to take, especially again, if you don't have a clear intention or a clear goal or a clear set path that you know feels good to you, that lack of clarity can feel really debilitating. And then finally, whatever else came into your mind at the beginning of this is probably another reason why you might be getting in your own way. The one thing that all of these concepts have in common is that they come down to your narratives, what you are telling yourself about your situation, what you are telling yourself about yourself, what you are telling yourself about other people. These narratives and the way that you talk to yourself in your brain is often the root cause of why you're not doing the things that you, quote unquote, feel you should be doing or want to be doing. So I have found a few resources that have really, really helped me with working through my own narratives, and I wanted to share those with you guys today. You can do with it what you will. The first thing when it comes to challenging narratives is from the work of Byron Katie. And this work she titled Self-Inquiry, or the process of self-inquiry. In this process, you will ask yourself 4 questions to challenge your beliefs. And this can be really, really hard, especially if you have an intrinsic need to feel like you are right, quote unquote. So the first thing that Byron Katie recommends is to identify whatever the thought is that you're having. And you ask the question, is it true? I'm not going to be able to pay my rent next month. Is it true? There may be a piece of me that says, yes, it's absolutely true. I have no idea how it's going to happen. This is just a survival example. The second question, which I love the most out of all the questions, forces you to re-examine that belief. And you say, can I absolutely know that that is true? And the answer generally is no. And this is a really good question for distinguishing facts from your perception of something. So let's say, I don't know, you don't have, sticking with the same example, you don't have the money in your bank account that you would need to pay your rent this upcoming month. Can I absolutely know that it is true that I will not be able to pay my rent? The answer is still no. You cannot absolutely know that that is true. What you do know is true is that you currently don't have the money in your bank account. But this can I absolutely know that that is true will force you to dissect what is your perception versus what is the actual reality. And this is a really, really, really powerful moment for anyone whose narratives are keeping them in a loop. The next question that you're going to want to ask yourself is, how do I react when I believe the thought? Maybe when I believe that thought, I panic, I get small, I become less creative, I become more angry, I become more tense, I become more controlling. What is the reaction that you and your body has to this thought or this narrative that you are carrying? You will probably find that a lot of the experiences in your life, the relationships you have, the challenges you have, are likely stemming from your reactions to your thoughts and not necessarily your reactions to possibility or your reactions to objective reality. This goes back to the anxiety and intuition. If you have an intuition that says this is not going to go well, a quote unquote intuition, but it's actually your anxiety, when you believe that and you take that as being true, it creates a sense of fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. That fear is going to impact the choices that you make in response to that situation. And when you act in accordance with limited thinking or survival-based thinking, oftentimes what you're going to get as a result are the same pattern repeating and repeating and repeating. This is how we break patterns, is you identify what's the pattern, what's the root of the pattern. A lot of the times the root of the pattern is not necessarily the situation you're in, it's the way that you react to the situation that you're in. I'm going on a lot of tangents. I hope you're having fun. And then the last question of self-inquiry for any situation is, who would I be without the thought? This gives you an opportunity to look at yourself from a different perspective. This is the cacao of questions. Who would I be if I did not think about it this way? This challenges you to say, how could I show up differently regardless of the situation that I'm in? How could I show up differently if I believed that a different outcome was possible? This will stretch your limited thinking, your perceptions that have maybe boxed you in and made you play small, because it challenges you to have different thought processes. I can words. I'm going to take a sip of my cacao. If you're writing these down, feel free. Now it's cold. That's the problem, is when the cacao gets cold and it's not as good. Alrighty, I might have to heat it up. We'll see. And I'm going to take a sip of water. You guys are just watching me do biology. The other thing that I have found really helpful for challenging narratives is observing objective versus subjective reality. I kind of touched on this with the "can I absolutely know that it is true" question. Another way to observe this, or to reframe this, is to ask yourself, what is the story that you are telling about yourself, about your life, about a situation? And what is the story that you want to tell? This gives you an opportunity to understand that there are multiple ways of looking at one single thing. And the way that you're looking at it might be the thing that is challenging, your perspective. This is why I'm a huge proponent of challenging your own perspective, because sometimes your perspective is phenomenal and helpful and useful, and your emotions and everything, they're really good information, really good data points. But sometimes your perspective can get in the way of things and can get in the way of your growth and your evolution, which is why I will always encourage you to take that time to observe it, question it, and then move forward from there. This time that you're taking for yourself now, I commend you and I respect you so much for taking this time, because it is an opportunity for you to challenge these same beliefs. I hope you guys are feeling the cacao starting to kick in. So now that I've shared some ways that you can challenge narratives, we're going to go into a little chunk of time for journaling. The purpose of this time is to give you the opportunity to explore your narratives and the way that you are relating to things in your life, whether they are changes that you have chosen, changes that you have been forced into, challenges, grief, joys, new chapters, letting go of old chapters. Again, change is the nature of life. So whatever it is that's happening in your world, even if it's not related to change, even if it's a thing that feels like it's not changing and you want it to, something probably feels stuck, stagnant, or like it's not operating at optimal capacity in your life. And if it's not, then kudos for you. You can come back to this anytime that you need it. Save it for a rainy day. The purpose of these journal prompts, though, is to give you that opportunity to really explore within yourself, where are the areas that you might be getting in your own way, and how can you start shifting and moving the needle. The last thing I want to say before I pull up journal prompts, because it's another thing that I've been talking a lot about on Instagram, and I will be continuing to talk a lot about, which if you don't already follow me, it's alexab.burger, B-U-E-R-G-E-R. I have the handle listed, okay, at the bottom of the pages here. But one of the other things I've been talking about is the combination of masculine and feminine energy. The best way to create change, or the most effective way to create change in your life, is through a quote unquote spiral. Masculine energy is linear. It is straight. It is a straight line from here to there. Masculine energy, if you, pay attention to like the way men operate, generally speaking, is like, I'm here, I got to get there. I'm going to do boom, 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 boom. It's linear. It's very proactive. It gets shit done, which is, we love masculine energy. Masculine energy is so powerful. That being said, feminine energy is the circle. It is the understanding patterns. It is the understanding feelings. It is the understanding emotions, going through the wave, the up, the down, the up and the down, which is the nature of life, even if we try to avoid it. And if we try to push that wave away, the wave will only continue to expand and get bigger. So the highs will get higher, the lows will get lower, and we will really, really struggle to find our center. There's no such thing as balance without imbalance. So we are all going to be thrown off kilter at some point and find ourselves in a chapter where we need to kind of rebalance things. That's what the whole purpose of this is helping you to rebalance, get back to your center. And so I really encourage people to understand that when they want to make a change in their life, it requires them to acknowledge and work with both their feminine energy and their masculine energy. No matter what you identify as, if you're male, female, somewhere in between, it does not matter. The energetic of masculine and the energetic of feminine, we have both, all of us inherently within us, and we need to attend to both. So this time with this cacao, settling in, setting your intention, understanding how you feel, that's feminine energy. We are taking that pause. We are slowing down. These journal prompts are going to start moving us towards making and taking action. But the only way we can take aligned, integrated action is if we really genuinely know where we stand, what our values are, and how we're feeling about something. So just know that this journal prompt time is for you to really allow yourself to explore the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, all of the things in between. And then at the end, we will start moving into the masculine energy component so that the change can actually happen, because you can change the way you feel, your narratives, your perceptions about something all day. But if you don't change your actions in accordance, then the real change isn't going to happen. So we need both. So the first question that I will encourage you guys to work through, you can pull out your journals now or your phone, get ready, is what is one thing I want to do or achieve that I currently feel blocked from? I'm going to change this prompt a little bit and say, what are some things that I want to do or achieve that I currently feel blocked from? It may be one thing, could be multiple. I'm going to give you guys about 3 minutes here, maybe 3 to 5 minutes to really explore this question. So it could be one thing, but it could be also a myriad of things. Some of you probably already know, like, what are the areas of my life that feel sticky that I want to create change in? And maybe you don't even know what the change is that you want to create, but identify the areas in your life where something needs to shift, or you feel that something needs to shift, or something is shifting and you're trying to adapt. I want you to just connect with that. I am going to try to play some music. We'll see if that works out well for us. And after about 3 minutes, I will let you guys know and we'll move into the next one. So go ahead and write down this question while I figure out how to operate technology. And play something for you to listen to. I hope the music is playing, but if it's not, that's fine. Just enjoy the sound. And I'm doing this with you guys too.
to a place that's only ours. I will rest my head on your shoulder for hours. Please make it.
Last few seconds here.
Please make it.
Alrighty. Come on back. Come on back to your screen. If you were in a flow, by the way, and you were like, I have so many things that I want to do and I haven't even written them all down yet, you can keep writing. You can pause this video, press play when you're ready. The joy of technology. You don't have to do it at my pace. It's amazing. Alrighty, the next question that I want for you guys to write down and answer, and this one we're going to take a little more time on, is what is actually standing in the way of me doing or achieving that thing? Everything that I mentioned earlier are all things that you can think about. These could be narratives, they could be beliefs, they could be physical limitations, environmental challenges. The quote unquote excuse or reason could be completely valid. It could also be something that you know is an excuse. I don't want for you to feel like there is a right or a wrong answer. I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the ceremony. There's no right or wrong way when it comes to this kind of stuff. There's only your way. So working through this question, I want you to be really radically honest with yourself and really radically honest with what you think the actual root of it is. And if you're quote unquote right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. This is a time for you to explore the areas that you might be standing in your own way, hence getting out of your own way. So feel free if you want to utilize the questions from Byron Katie. Is it true? Can I absolutely know that it is true? Who am I when I believe the thought? Who would I be without the thought? If you want to use that process of inquiry to help yourself kind of unblock some narratives, feel free to utilize that. You can compare objective and subjective realities. Whatever you want to do, I want you to just take some time to acknowledge what things you feel might be standing in your way. And this can be specific to what you have written down. This can also be more generalized if you feel like you know there's certain patterns that you're really, really struggling with. So we're going to spend closer to 5 to 7 minutes on this one. And if you feel like, you need more time, you can always pause and take more time. We're going to put some music back on. Happy writing.
Please make it.
Fascinating. Are you guys?
I just can't make it by myself. You bought and left me on the shelf. We were such a lovely pair. Couldn't find a greater love nowhere. You put me down for someone new.
All right, finish up where you're at.
How I cry over you.
Whatever you got, it is good enough. Let it be good enough. Okay. Told y'all I was gonna dance. I don't know if anyone saw that, but I was vibing to my own music. Last question for our little journal prompts for the day. What is one thing that I could do today to remove that obstacle or move the needle on it? Then what could I do to maintain the momentum? So this is a twofer. I could have broken this up into two, but I decided to just make this one. I want you to think about now that masculine energy, that action oriented, taking those steps. If you did not have any of the limiting beliefs, narratives, if you didn't have the limitations that you feel are imposed on your current situation, what would you do that could remove or to remove the obstacles that you feel or move the needle on it? And for some of you, if you are in a state where you're like, I don't even know what that next step would be, please consider that finding alternative support or working with a coach or hiring a therapist or entering a program. Those kinds of things are actionable items. So if you are in a state where you feel really, really lost and you're like, I don't even know how to begin with this, a step you could take could be outsourcing or utilizing research or other people, other resources to help you figure out your next best step. So either you're going to find that best step, within yourself, or your next best, I cannot talk with that one. Next best step could be making the choice to prioritize working with someone else or talking with someone about it, or whatever it is. So I just want you guys to enable yourself to think creatively, where any obstacle that comes up, what is the way around that obstacle? And if you have another obstacle come up, what is the obstacle around that one? What is the way around that? Keep doing this mental jujitsu, if you will, through these challenges until you feel like you've arrived at an action step that you can do today, and then an action step that you can utilize to maintain that momentum. So we're going to take about 5 minutes on this one. Keep that dream nice and big and start figuring out what it is that you need to either process this, work through this, or start creating change in your life regarding this particular situation.
I just can't make it by myself. You call and left me on the shelf. You put me down for someone new.
need a couple minutes, you're welcome to pause it, but I would encourage you to go with what you got. Unfortunately, my neighbor has decided that now is the best time to be revving a really obnoxiously loud engine for no apparent reason. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. So yeah, if that's gonna annoy everyone, sorry. Luckily, I am mic'd right now, so fingers crossed it'll do the job. I did shut my front door, so let us pray. Thank you guys for taking the time to write those journals out or write those answers out. The next prompt for you is not quite a prompt. It is a little more fun than that. Let me make sure that this is, see, I told you, text just not my thing. All right, congratulations. So whatever you've written down, you guys are going to take 5 minutes now to do whatever that thing is. I do not care if you don't get this item finished in these next 5 minutes, but your job, your challenge, your task is to spend 5 minutes working on whatever it is. So, whatever action steps you wrote down for how you can get this done today, I want you to spend 5 minutes doing it. Hopefully, you've gotten some ideas for how you can maintain the momentum moving forward. And I want you to keep those things in mind. This time right now is to set you up to start getting that momentum continuing. So, whatever it is that you have written down, whether it's you need to make a phone call, you need to do some research, you need to start creating something, you need to just stopping yourself and do the thing, whatever it is. We got 5 minutes right now. We're going to do this together. At the end of those 5 minutes, you can come back and I've got one more thing for you. I will not play music for this 5 minutes in case this is something that you need to record yourself or do anything of that sort with. So just keep in mind that it'll be quiet, but at the end of the 5 minutes, I will let you guys know that it's time to come back. Alrighty. You guys can come on back. Congratulations. You're done. You did it. You finished. You doggone done the dang thing. Now that you have completed this exercise, I want you to just take a minute and soak up the being proud of yourself, being proud of what you have just done. Be excited about it. I do want to close out fairly quickly right now because I want to give you guys a chance to get back into your flow state if you're in a flow. But there are a couple of things I want to address before we close out. If you're really in a flow and you want to just pause this and come back to this video when you're done, that's totally fine. But let me share this last little bit because it is really important for you, or it's one of the most important things I have found, and it's something I learned from a mentor I'm currently working with. And that is to stop when you're still having fun. So if you are in a flow state and you're enjoying it, I want you to feel like you've completed something. I want you to feel like you have gotten a task handled. But you should always consider stopping when you're still in a good flow and having a good time, because this will keep your energy engaged in what you're doing and it'll make you want to come back to it. Especially if it's something that you feel is really hard and really challenging and you're often like, I don't want to do it. The fact that you finish when you're still enjoying it and in a good groove will help encourage you to come back to it. So make sure you get, something done so you feel accomplished, but don't push yourself too hard. And if you find that you're starting to hit ruts and it's taking way too long to do everything, I would encourage you to just ask, am I being a perfectionist right now? Could I just focus on getting this done instead of making it perfect every single time? And that is ultimately where the money is at. That's where change is going to happen. When you can get the things done and it's in alignment with your vision, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a very important distinction. So the final thing that I want to mention before I let you guys go for the rest of the day, outside of a thank you for taking this time for yourself, I want you to just acknowledge that you have just done something amazing for yourself that in the long run does make a huge difference for your progress. These little moments of drawing the arrow back so that you can let it go and it can fly forward mean so much. And a lot of people undervalue, this little pocket of time that you've just created for yourself. So I want you to really have some appreciation for yourself for this process and where you're at with it. I also want to say that this is something that I wanted to bring to you and share with you and with my community, of course, free of charge, because I think it's incredibly valuable and incredibly useful. I will never expect anything from anyone. However, a lot of people ask me when I do things like this. So on the screen, if you are interested or you feel so inclined to participate in the flow of energy, if you want to leave a donation, I have Venmo and PayPal QR codes listed on the screen there. I will also put links down in the description of this video if that's something that you feel called to. If you don't, please don't feel obligated. No one's ever obligated. The most important thing is that you are able to be supported in whatever it is that you're going through. And any level of support that you need, I want you to feel comfortable with asking for or creating for yourself, whether that means spending time with a friend, processing with other people, reaching out to mentors, coaches, etc. I work as a life and death coach. If you want a little bit more assistance or one-on-one time, feel free to shoot me a message. My Instagram handle is alexab.burger, B-U-E-R-G-E-R. My email is alexab.alchemy, A-L-C-H-E-M-Y @gmail.com. Reach out to me however feels best for you if you need a little bit of additional support. Sometimes we all need it. And finally, please take a moment to just thank yourself for taking this time for you. It's really important. Thank you for joining me in enjoying the beautiful, wonderful cacao. I will leave a link in the description below as well in case you want to purchase more online with a discount code. And if you have any other questions, you know where to find me. You know how to reach out. All right, spend some time in nature if you can today. Go for a walk. Remember that the process of integrating this might take a few hours to a few days. So if you're finding a lot of ideas, a lot of emotions, that's awesome. I would encourage you to take a step away from your screen or away from whatever you're doing as soon as you feel like you have some completion and you feel like you're ready to move forward. Get back to your life, touch grass, and enjoy it out there. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. And I will see you on the next one whensoever I do another one. Cheerio.